Anyway, so we're diving back in. We're bringing you music first and foremost in front of other people. This is a wonderful artist from North Texas. I'm going to let Darren go ahead and introduce this artist since he is the one that goes out and finds these awesome musicians. Darren, tell everybody who we got today.
Yes, I'm so happy to introduce Justin Mason. He is not your normal person walking around. He spent 5 years in the United States Navy, 6 years as a police officer. He has businesses in the world of real estate and brokerage, real estate brokerage. He has been in music for 10, 12 years now, primarily focusing on country. Can't wait for you to hear the story. Please welcome to the show, Justin Mason.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Justin. Here's a round of applause, real quick. All right.
Thank you.
The audience and the crowd goes wild. Thank
Now
you
I'll
so.
stay.
Thank you so much for joining us, Justin.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, we're glad you're bunkered down at home and listening to us and not getting out on the ice. Nothing is worth getting out there and risking your health. So stay home, listen to us, and just keep listening to Justin Mason music, which you can find on justinmason.com, which talk about that more. So, Justin, tell us, you've done a lot of career-wise, and I'm still going to find it in my heart to like you, even though you're 20 times more interesting than I asked you a couple of weeks ago, I said, hey, what brought you back to music? And you said, I never really left music. Why don't you talk about the evolution of where you were out doing good in the world, working, and then you decided to take music a little more serious. How did that all come about?
Yeah, I'll tell you, just like we talked about a little bit ago before somebody forgot to push play.
He's throwing darts right away. My man, like you already. I like
We
you
had
already.
the best interview in the world before this happened.
And no one will ever know, alas. Sorry.
So what you're hearing is all original. Here we go.
Fill us in again, Justin.
So I never played music my entire life. I played sports, didn't play instruments or anything, but I sang to myself a whole lot. And I was afraid to sing in front of people. I just thought that music was something other people did. I didn't do it. I played sports. But then as I got older, it was just eating at me. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I can sing. And I'm not just going to do this by myself. So I need to learn how to play an instrument. So went on YouTube for like 6 months, figured out some basic rhythm guitar, put a band together. And then we started playing at Billy Bob's and bars, festivals, rodeos. And then it became not just a side hobby, but more of a full-time job now. So,
yeah. So we learned a minute ago that you taught yourself rhythm guitar in 6 months, and then you were on the stage at Billy Bob's. 6 months later, after you decided to get together, you really put together a band and got booked that fast.
No, it was well, I didn't have kids then, so I got to get a lot of stuff done. So 6 months is a reasonable amount of time. So I basically learned how to play, put a band together, and it was 6 months after that. So basically a full year from the time that I started playing to the time that we started playing out in public and places like that.
I'd love to know which YouTube teacher you were using that got you through in 6 months. Still, it's an impressive feat. 6 months to be on stage is well done. So please forward or let us know who the teacher is.
There's a few of them, man. There's so many.
You better not say Rick Beato.
Rick has a lot of great info.
In 6 months.
No, I didn't learn from Rick, but Rick does have a lot of great info. No, I mean, I taught myself how to play piano off of YouTube. I'm doing drums right now. You can learn anything on YouTube. If I need to learn how to fix something on my truck, I go to YouTube. I'm just one of those people visually. I have to see it, and then I can pause it, do it, and it makes sense. So,
but you can't learn how to get on stage with the band and play live with.
No, that you don't learn.
I got a new series I'm gonna start, guys. I just figured it out. No, you can't teach that. You got to do it, right?
Yeah.
No, you got to suck it up and just. Yeah. You got to fight through some fear and nerves and just do it. So,
wow, that's good to use. So, what would you say? You grew up in North Texas. I did as well. What would you say originally drew you to music? Were you driving around truck one day and you said, "I like this"? Was it something played in your house as a kid? How did it first come to be?
Probably the latter. It was just music was on all the time, and it wasn't just country. I mean, I'm from North Texas, and country is my favorite, and my voice when I sing sounds very country. But I listened to everything, and there was music on constantly. I mean, from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. So no matter what was going on, inside, outside, there was always music on. And Probably when I was in the womb, I was probably listening to music and didn't even know it then. So yeah.
Well, there's a lot of studies about how beneficial that can be, so it apparently paid off with you. Maybe you can
Well,
go into
if
those
I know my
programs.
mom, it was probably like Journey and Lionel Richie, Al Green. I don't know. It was gonna be a mix of a lot of stuff. So
Well,
yeah,
then at least she taught you to don't stop believing, which you haven't, and you're
that's
still a
right.
good singer. So well done, Mom.
Thanks,
Well
mom.
done.
Love you.
Yeah, and a reminder, you listen to 94.3 FM, KWVH Radio, Wimberley Valley Radio. You have the Darren and Micah Show. We are with professional musician Justin Mason. You can find him on justinmason.com. He's got an interesting life story and musical story. Yeah, I think I mentioned to you earlier, I grew up in North Texas. And, when I was a younger man, I used to compete competitively in two-stepping, which I did to meet girls primarily.
Smart,
But
Well
smart.
done.
far more athletic and difficult, what I thought, but if you're going to raise a full-grown woman above your head and spin her around, but the reason I bring that up is I know that live music scene is super competitive in North Texas. There's a lot of places to play. There are a lot of talented singers, songwriters, bands. How do you separate yourself, from a business standpoint? You just let the music and the show speak for itself, or do you develop messaging and social media plans and get it out there? How do you stand out from the crowd?
You have to do all of that, but at the end of the day, you got to get on stage and sing, and either you're good or you're not, and they're gonna let you know. Especially a bunch of drunk people in a crowd, they're gonna let you know if you're not good or not. And so
Hmm.
that's the best way to figure out where you stand and set yourself apart. I I consider myself more of an entertainer, not just a singer. Like I interact with the crowd. I will joke with them. I'm constantly trying to move around the stage because that's just me. Like I want to do that. I'm not going to stand in one spot behind a mic the entire time and just sing a few songs. And no, it's like we're there to have fun and escape for a couple hours. So let's have fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Darren and I talk about this a lot, the difference between an entertainer and a musician. And not all musicians are entertainers and not all entertainers are musicians, but it's part of the puzzle and it's part of that piece. And it's why we come back. I still haven't seen your live shows, but I'm looking forward to it. Towards the end of this, we'll continue to give your website and show where people can watch you play because that's fun. I always get excited when I see that because it's harder than it looks. And I have a lot of musicians that are always like, kind of, they're like, do this, but I'm like, hey, it's not easy to be the front person, okay?
Yeah, and it doesn't happen the first time you get on stage. I mean, if you the progression that happens and you figure stuff out, it just takes time. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but don't you? How long do you think it takes? It's one thing to teach yourself music, get a band together, which is super impressive. It's a whole other thing to figure out the rhythm of a show. When to play a fast song, when to play a slow song, when to tell a story, when to introduce a song because you wrote this song because it meant this and that. What does that timeline look like to have a seamless show of that entertainment part?
Yeah, real quick, do you create a set list and stick to it hard, or do you make some adjustments? Would be a good way to look at that.
We try to stick to a set list.
Yeah.
It depends. You're in front of people, you know the vibe and the type of people that happen to be in there that night.
Mm-hmm.
And if your next song is supposed to be like a real slow one and they're like all partying and wanting to be in front of the stage, yeah, skip to the two down. Let's go from there.
You
play on the fly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're playing for them. It's not for you. So if you've got a lot of people and they want to dance and two-step, man, guess what? We're going to start throwing these at you all day long, and then we'll work in a fast one and then go back to slow. It's just really just having a feeling for the crowd and the people that you're playing in front of. Now, as far as timeline, man, I don't know. I mean, it depends on how much time you have to practice with your band. The more you can practice and get tight with your band, then it's going to make it a lot easier. But if you're sporadic on how much you practice, you're basically figuring a lot of stuff out in front of people on stage, which is not the best way to do it.
I always tell people it's actually rehearsal and practice, right? Practice is something you do by yourself. Rehearsal is something you do with a band. And it's hard to get everybody in the same room rehearsing. Before shows, we got families, we got kids, we got wives, we got lives. It's tough. So couldn't be with you more.
Yep.
Well, the thing I've learned on my musical journey and taking lessons with Micah is once you guys get to the level you guys are at, it is a job. And yes, while it's passionate and it is art, when you stand on the stage, it's a job, and you do have to pay attention to what the crowd is doing. And being a person who goes to live music and always has and still does, yeah, it's not fun if you're really rocking out, the whole crowd's into it, and all of a sudden, you break out the dance by Garth Brooks or something. Everybody's like, oh, it's kind of a bummer. Well,
Although that song can be a real banger sometimes when you do it right.
Dude,
well, that's true.
But I know what you're saying.
Regardless of the song, yeah, it is something you have to pay attention to, and it is a job. And you got to get the sound right, and so just respect and tip your musicians, and just pay attention to everybody. I guess what I'm saying. So speaking of crowds and figuring it all out, North Texas and all of Texas really has a lot of different types of venues, and what I mean by that: restaurants, wineries, festivals, sound stages, that kind of thing. Do you have a type of venue or a type of situation that favors your style, or just you prefer?
Large crowds.
Large crowds.
Yeah, who
And
doesn't?
you
Fairs,
probably get that from fairs and
festivals,
festivals the most, right?
rodeos.
Yeah.
You get on stage for 90 minutes straight, and you give everything you got. You're not pulling and bringing sound in. You're not doing everything. I mean, you get on stage, you sound check, you go, play nonstop, and you're done. And the pay is normally better. It's all good. So
I'll tell you, do you have one in mind? Do you have one that you can think of that, like, hey, this was a really enjoyable show that we had?
Oh, I mean, well, somewhat recently, we played Great Fest over in Grapevine, where we're at, and that's
been many times. Yep.
and that's great. I mean, you've got 3,000-4,000 people out there, and here we go. It's
Sweet.
fun.
Sweet.
Yeah, and it's usually getting a decent crowd. Yeah, if you guys haven't made the trip to Grapevine in North Texas, they have a spring event and a fall event. They're different names, but they're very similar setups. But downtown Grapevine, not as great as downtown Wimberley. So we need festivals here, and Justin needs to come on down. But if you're looking for a trip to North Texas, take a look at Justin's website when he's playing, and if you can line it up with the trip to Grapevine, by all means.
Yeah, and we'll say it again at the backside, but I just want to spell it for everybody. It is the way it sounds. It's Justin, but it's Justin, and then Mason, Mason.com. JustinMason.com. We'll keep saying it throughout. Please proceed, Darren.
Well, here's the reason I asked that, because I've living here in the Hill Country, and my mom lives in Fredericksburg, the land of wineries. I attend a lot of wineries, right? And I do marketing for them as well. But I see sometimes singers sitting on a stage, and the folks are sitting on round tables enjoying a glass of wine with their back to the performer. I just got to ask you, Justin, in those situations, are you disheartened by that, or is that when it becomes a job, or what do you do? Like go kick over the table and say pay attention, or how do you handle those situations?
Luckily, I sing really loud, so I can get real loud if I need to. So I have a shirt that we made a little while back, and it says "Not background music."
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
And one way or another, I'm going to get your attention, and you may have come to eat or drink wine, but guess what? Now you're staying for this, and this is happening. And yeah, so that's how that started.
Well, you guys heard it here first, and we said this before. Like, apparently, we got to get to a live show. I have not been privy to see you live yet. I need to. So as we get towards the end, find a live show for Justin. He seems to really enjoy the stage, and that sounds like a fantastic time to me. So.
He's gonna kick your table over if you don't pay attention to him.
I'm gonna make that shirt for you, Justin Mason.
I've got some ideas for that.
We'll kick your table over. Look at me. I respect you. I must respect your Thorton. Come here.
I kind of picture like Justin at this local winery, and there's just a small crowd of 10 or 12 people there, but then he's got like the guide wire like Garth Brooks. He shoots himself across.
Yes,
like
please.
A wire across the crowd.
Oh, I have a wireless mic. I've taken that out many a times. So.
And he's in the crowd. I like it. Fantastic.
Well, speaking of showmanship, I always ask this for entertainers and musicians. Social media, it's a double-edged sword. It can get your name out there. We've seen a lot of success with our friends in the business that put a lot of effort into it. However, some musicians and artists just want to be artists. They don't want the headache and the hassle with that. How do you balance that right brain, left brain war? Do you embrace it, or do you ignore it? How do you handle the marketing of yourself?
I think that's my life, is right brain, left brain. If it was up to me, I would just be creative all day. So I have to block off my schedule in certain ways to just, when I'm in creative mode, it could go 12 or 15 hours and don't bother me. But I know when some booking stuff needs to get done, social media stuff needs to get done. Okay, that's a whole different shift in my brain. And now I'm going to just hammer this stuff. And, I wish we didn't have to do it as much as we do. Luckily, I've hired someone to take that on. Hi, Monica. So that's great. And she can handle it. But I still like getting on there and interacting with people, because these are people that like listening to your music. So if they say something nice, you should say thank you, or you should respond to them if they've got something. And you can really, I always say, you could be in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people playing music, but you can also put a video online and have 4,000 or 5,000 people watching it. And so if all those people were in a room together, you would probably freaking love to have that opportunity. Well, you have that opportunity every day if you want to get online and post pictures, videos, do whatever, and interact with that crowd and keep your crowd growing. So it's just part of doing business.
It's funny. I have this conversation a lot with younger artists, and, you are obviously passionate about your art and your music, right? And they say the same thing, but then when they don't want to do any of that stuff, I kind of have a conversation with them, like, how passionate are you about your art if you're not willing to do a lot of the stuff that maybe you don't enjoy as much? And you do a good job of obviously enjoying it as much as you can and turning that on, but it's part of the job. It's part of the passion. So I love seeing this from an artist. It tells me they really are passionate and they really are an entertainer when they're like, I'm doing it. I'm going to put my hands in it and go that. You have to do that. You have to be engaged with your fans. You have to, what they love teaches you things and vice versa. So that's awesome. I'm really excited to hear that, Justin.
Yeah, trust me, not every day do I want to get on stage. Sometimes I'm not feeling great, and sometimes I don't want to do certain things. But guess what? You're a big boy. You got to get stuff done, and not everything you want to that has to get done is stuff you want to do. So you do it, and
I love it.
And the more you persist, I'd say that's the biggest thing. Is any business or anything you do in life, there's gonna be a lot of people that say they want to do it, and then they're gonna get to year 2, year 3, year 4, and be like, this sucks. This is. But the people who persist and keep going, then good things start happening, more opportunities start happening. And if you give up, dude, you're never going to get anywhere in anything you do. Forget music, anything.
Man, a good life coaching right here. It's, you get 2 or 3
hours.
I'm
charging you for that.
I'll put on a QuickBooks invoice. You can send it to me. You only get 3 hours on a Sunday, but you're doing a lot of work before the game. So that's what this is.
Right.
So I love this message to younger artists. If you're out there and you're listening, take notes from this. This is how you got to be doing it. All right. You got to do the work to get to the show. The show's the most fun, but there's a lot that leads up to it.
That's right. And if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Darren Micah Show on 94.3 FM KWVH Wimberley Valley Radio. We are speaking with professional singer-songwriter and musician Justin Mason. He has shared his life story. We have plenty more time to chat with him, but he was been a police officer and United States military. So we thank him for that. Justin, tell us a little bit about the creative process. This is one of our favorite subjects with both Mike and I, because we found while there's similarities to all artists, there's definitely enough differences and nuances that we find fascinating. What is your creative process? How do you sit down and write songs? Is it driving around tux? How do you get it down?
I would say the biggest thing is to get my conscious mind out of the way, because that's your biggest enemy. It's whenever you're doing things like you're working out or you're doing things that you're not trying to write a song, that's when all the ideas start flowing to you. At least that's how it is for me. I can sit down and I can come up with stuff, but the ones that are really like, I like that line, or it comes to me when I'm driving, it comes to me when I'm working out, it comes to me when I'm not even thinking about music, or you've had a little bit to drink and you're just not even thinking about that and you're sitting down with the guitar, then stuff really, your conscious mind, at least mine, wants to jump in and analyze everything, and your subconscious is just like, dude, I'm just going to flow, and wake up the next day and you're like, I write all this stuff. Yeah, that's what happens. But I'd say stay in that flow state, if you will, for as long as you can, because once you start over analyzing stuff, it's done. You broke it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
I think that's great. It keeps a lot of authenticity to the work. So I really enjoy that. And I love writers who have that kind of flow state and that ability. That is a bit of a gift, but working it over and over and over is what you have to do. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you walk around with a notebook, or do you just talk into your phone? Or
my phone is full.
Voice memos.
Okay.
Voice memos, some handwritten stuff, like in the notes section. But you will forget. If you tell yourself, oh, I'll do it in the morning, you will forget how it went or what it was, and
Right.
just sing it in your phone. I've got stuff in my phone from 5 years ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I just need to hurry up and get around to recording stuff. But yeah, the ideas that come to you, like I don't know. I heard like Tom Petty in an interview a long time ago say something about like you just kind of have an antenna and your antenna's up and you just catch them as they fly by. And that's really what it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm outside cleaning the pool and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And I'm singing in my phone so I don't forget it. I mean, I can't tell you like I don't know if you could teach that or whatever just to be aware of what's going on. I don't know, but that's kind of how it happens.
Yeah.
I love that, the antennas. Well, speaking of writing songs, we have one that one of yours that you've recorded and released recently. Why don't you tell us about the song, how it came about, and what it means to you?
So the song's called "Damn You, George Strait," and and going off the title, which some people do, and they haven't heard the song, they think I'm saying like I don't like George Strait. It's the complete opposite. I love George Strait. Like he's my favorite country music artist. But the way it came about, I think we were watching another award show or something years ago, and he won another award. And I'm like, of course you did. I'm like, damn, George, like you win everything, and you have like 70 number ones. I was like, can you share some for somebody else? And I sang "Damn You, George Strait." Oh, sorry. Into my phone, like basically almost verbatim what you heard on the chorus part. Fix my phone here, and then decided like 3 years later to record it, and there you go.
I love it. Well, why don't we go ahead and let everybody listen to this song? So again, this is "Damn You, George Strait" by Justin Mason. We'll listen to the song, then we'll come back and talk a bit. Here we go.
Yes, I have questions, but let's let her rip.
Okay.
Damn you, Joe Strait, for being something that I ain't. Smith talking cowboy man, Wrangler jeans and a 10-piece band, cranking out those hits since the 80s, driving all those women around you crazy. Damn you, Joe Strait. Well, he's a classy son of a gun, down in Pearsall, Texas, where he's from. Been on the charts since 1981. But he played the places, saw the faces, wound up singing on the biggest stages. Yeah, he's been the king since 81. Damn you, Joe Strait, for being something that I ain't. Smooth talking cowboy man, Wrangler jeans and a 10-piece band, cranking out those hits since the 80s, driving all those women around you crazy. Damn you, Joe Strait. Check yes or no, easy come and easy go. Got himself about 1 billion albums sold. Now I don't mean no disrespect, but come on, George, what the heck? Can't you do a favor, please, and just save a number one for me? Damn you, Joe Strait, for being something that I ain't. Smooth talking cowboy man, Wrangler jeans and a 10-piece band, cranking out those hits since the 80s, driving all those women around you crazy. Damn you, George Strait. Now I try, and I try to deny, but like honest Abe, I cannot lie. I love some George Strait. Yeah, I love some George Strait. Yes, I do. Thank God for George Strait.
All right. That is Justin.
Ain't done yet, Darren. Ain't done yet. Hold your tone. Hold your tone. Let me lead into this one. All right, everybody. That is "Damn You, George Strait" by Justin Mason here on 94.3 KWVH Wimberley Valley Radio, who are having with us today. If you're just now tuning in, a lot of fun. Definitely keeps you moving. That's one of those songs that you write, it sounds like, when you're like, okay, wait a second, I want everyone dancing at a bar. I want everyone having a good time, right? That's the boot scooting boogie right there.
That goes back to the flipping over tables. We're just gonna play this really loud.
Right.
I'm gonna go to your table and sing. So
I love
Well,
it.
this man, we are killing it on the production value. Here in the Darren and Micah show, we're gonna win awards off of this.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you this. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I didn't tell you this question was coming. It's a bit of a curveball here. So, look, I grew up in very traditional country, and I love George Strait too. It's the only box set I ever owned in my life, back when box sets were a thing. And I grew up in the 80s and 90s country as a kid. And I love country music. I listen to primarily Texas country music, Randy Rogers, Pat Green, those types of guys.
Justin Mason.
That's right.
you just did, baby. You just did. Add it to the list.
So, listening to you today, and based on what you said to George Strait, you have more of a traditional sense to you. Mike and I have a YouTube channel where we talk extensively about music. And I have let it be known multiple times that I don't care for bro country. I think it's silly, and it's not any good. Justin, putting you on the spot, your thoughts on bro country? What has it done for the industry?
Oh my gosh, this is a longer conversation. It's you know what? Honestly, a lot of it, some of it, would probably get more. Wouldn't get criticized as much if it was played on a pop station like it probably should be.
Yes.
What makes me mad and everybody else is when I turn my radio to a country station and somebody's rapping and you're like, it's not that I don't like rap, but I don't want to hear like not that good of a version of rap on a country station and then have to hear people say, oh, that was a great country song. Like, no, it's not. It's like just lying to you. And I always say it's like going to an Italian restaurant and ordering Italian food and they bring you tacos and you're like,
right.
I like tacos, but that's not what I'm here for. And they're like, no, that's Italian food. And
No,
you're like, no,
this
it's
is
not.
what you want.
What are you
Eat
doing?
this.
This
Consume this.
Thing.
That's a great example, and I haven't heard it said that way. That it's just not what I was here for, and that's a really good look at it.
I listen to tons of music,
rap.
a lot of music. When I tune into a country radio station, I want to hear country music, and when they don't play it over and over again, then I stop listening to the country station. And when your record label's trying to go after the 13 to 22 demo or whatever you're doing, like you're just watering down pop music and playing it there, and you're basically just getting the crowd from those other radio stations, but you're alienating the millions of people who would have been listening to your show or your station if you had played actual country music. And so I hear it. It's not just me, and it's not just, oh yeah, you're in Texas. Man, I play a lot of places, and I know people all over the country, and they all have the same. They're like, I don't even listen to the radio anymore because they play this stuff. And if you look back in the 90s when country music was kicking butt and selling more albums than anybody else, they were playing country music. There were some people that did a little bit more poppy stuff, but they were playing country music, and they did pretty well for themselves. And the second they started trying to just chase a trend, guess what, man? You live by it, you die by it. Here you go.
I don't know how we got there, but I blame Florida Georgia line. It's all their fault.
That's
all
funny.
Right.
We only got 1 minute left, Darren. So gear it up. Ask this last question and sign, seal, deliver it, Darren.
So I'm going to have Justin talk us out. Justin, where can people find y'all on the social medias and website, your upcoming shows? Give us some parting wisdoms on how to better our lives with real country music.
Better your lives. Oh, man. Life advice. JustinMason.com is the website. We update the calendar pretty regularly as far as shows. On Instagram, it's the Justin Mason. Same thing on Twitter. You'll find everything. Google it. You'll find me. And Justin like the boots, Mason like a jar. There you go.
And you are you're headed down to the Hill Country and playing shows Wimberley this year. We got our fingers crossed.
I hope so.
Yeah.
We're supposed to play 4th of July weekend, possibly at a resort in like the Hill Country area too. So we'll see how all that works out.
Awesome. Well, if that does, we do have a calendar here. If that occurs, we will let you know. Justin, thank you so much for taking time out of the day. Thanks for putting up with this with our technical challenges early. But look, all's well that ends well, right, Micah?
The first interview was the best. I'm just letting y'all know,
Yeah.
and they messed it up.
No one will ever
gold.
No one will ever know. No one will ever know. It's forever. It's forever in the computer ether. All right, everybody, here at 94.3 FM KWVH Wimberley Valley Radio, we got Justin Mason with us today. That's JustinMason.com. You can find all of his information on social media, the interwebs, and everywhere else. Jason, thank you so much again for joining us. We will catch you the next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.